Hi, this is April Choi, Bethany Burns, and we're doing the second half of our review on how to end a whip for everyone in our whip making classes. Before we did where to drop and how to drop, and now we're going to do how to do the fall and lashes. We're just going to do the traditional four-part half hitches, correct? Is the name of the knot? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I wasn't having a blonde moment. The 4 half hitches, and then we're going to do what's called an integrated fall. So, the first half hitch.
So what we're doing is we're just going to have a small little kitten attack your whip, just like this. Hi, kitten.
Hi.
This always makes whip making a little more difficult. But assuming you don't have a cat you have to deal with, you're going to end, and I'm going to have a black fall, which means I'm going to do the last 2 plaits with the black cords, okay? And you'll see why in a moment. Because what's going to happen is, since these 2 are the last ones, we're going to...
You're so cute.
Since these 2 are the last ones, we want those to be the last ones to be tied. So we want the first one to be tied to be the red ones. So, since this one right here is the first red one, what we're going to do is we're going to tie this the half hitch. What that means is it's just going to go over. I'm going to take this, pull it down and through. You'll see that like that. It's not a full knot, it's just a hitch. And you just tie it tight like that.
Decently tight, you don't have to go crazy yet.
Yep. Now what we do next is, just to make this all pretty and dress these knots a little better, I always want the knots to be identical and matching. So what happens is, this is also going from the right to the left, just like the previous one, and then top down. So all of these will go right to left, top to bottom. Now by doing that, you'll notice that these 2 knots are the same and can be nested right on top of each other. I'm just tightening them up a little bit, and then I get to do the same thing with these 2. So I take my next one, I go right to left, and then I go top down. So this will also be the same as our previous hitches. And you'll notice all 3 of them, where they have their little V, happens to look exactly the same. And last but not least, my 4th line, same thing. I go right to left, top, down. Now the reason this is called an integrated fall is, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to use the same line that we plaited the whip with, so these 2 lines right here, as the fall. Now keep in mind, you can't do this when you're replacing a fall, and there's other ways. This is just an easy way to do it for one of your first whips. It also keeps it a little bit more streamlined, so you don't have to add, and it gets a little bit bulkier when you're doing your lashes, which these are considered your lash knots. I'm going to really quick go through and tighten each one of these strands.
The hand holding the hitches in place is very important when you're tightening. If you just pull, you can actually pull your hitches down and
yeah.
loosen the plait of your whip.
So remember,
So pull up at the same time you pull down.
Yep. Thank you.
I've totally made that mistake. Aw, such a cute kitten. You're lucky you're cuter than the curtains.
So now we're going to make the fall out of these 2 pieces. And this is the one we're going to use our final fall as. So this is going to be our longest piece. Notice that this is the one that did the last knot, so that when you pull on here, this ends up being tightening it down. Okay? So if this is the last one, this is the second to last one, we'll be going into this one so you can make a thicker fall. So we're going to take this strand, find the end. And normally, if somebody does a lot of whip making, you will probably use one of these. These are different various types of fids. But chances are you don't have one, and you're probably not going to be making a whole bunch of whips. So we're just going to use this, a paper clip. Now, we've already taken the paper clip, and we're just taking these unbending them till you get a straight piece of metal, and then bending them back. Okay? They don't have to be aligned, like this one right here. You can see they're already misaligned. Now, all we need to do to use these is we take the tip right here. We're going to trim this just so we have a nice clean break. Melt the end, just like that. Then take our paper clip and just feed it through the end. So I'm just twisting it to go through the end, just like that. Now, it'll help, here's a couple tips for you, when you are just using a paper clip, to take these corners and nip them off with a pair of scissors also.
Make sure you get the paracord after you nip them off very, very smooth. That is the most important part of this process.
So now they're rounded off. Just smooth those over. I'm getting a little more heat there. I'm rounding them over. Now you have a makeshift fid for your fall. So the next piece we're going to do, normally you have something like this. This is a marlin spike. You can also use a pencil, a sharp pair of tweezers, whatever you want. It's just to get an opening in this particular piece.
Again, try and make sure that you keep the opening very smooth so nothing can catch on each other.
So I'm just finding a place to start a hole somewhere in here. Now the key thing here is I'm not actually going all the way through. I'm going into the fid. Or not the fid, I'm going into this strand right here. And then this is opening it up. So with a spike, or with a pencil or a pen, it's the same idea. You're taking this and you're pushing this so that you have an opening. Hopefully we don't catch anything this time. So we pull the piece of paper clip into the hole. And then all I'm doing is having two of my cats fight each other.
Oh, I missed them. I tried to back out to see them.
It's okay.
They ran off already.
So what's happening is, you'll see that this loop right here, I'll put my arm through it. I'm taking my paper clip and I'm slowly just feeding it through. So you can see that this is when the fid comes out. I'm just pulling it out and all of a sudden it comes all the way through, just like this. And I just continue to pull all the way through so that you see this piece is actually coming into the fall. Just like that. You now have a fall coming right off your whip. And if you have a small kitten, you also have a couple of cat toys right here. Kitty, kitten, meow. So here's your fall. So to finish this whip, all we're going to do is we're going to take this, make sure the whole fall is nice and even. We're going to take these two ends, we're going to trim them off because we don't need them anymore.
Say about 3/4 of an inch, half an inch.
Yeah, probably 3/4 of an inch. It's kind of arbitrary. As long as there's enough that it won't come out. Remember, these knots will tighten down on everything too once you use the whip. And then for this one, all I'm going to do, take this, measure out however you want the fall. So for this particular whip, I'm going to have the fall probably be around 16 inches, so that for me, that's 2 hand spans. So I'll probably cut it just a little longer in case I want to tune this more. And then make sure there's a little bit of taper. I take out some of the inside of the whip. So I'm just grabbing that inside of the whip, just like that, near the end. And just taking a little bit off the end, just so that it tapers down. And that's how you do an integrated fall on a nylon whip. Is that it?
Yeah, sounds good. Have a great night, guys.